In celebration of 510 supporting the Pinkbike Fantasy League this year, I wanted to look at some quite actually interesting differences in the flat pedal range. Which one is the best and how are you going to harness your inner Sam Hill? When riding flat pedals fast down gnarly trails, you need maximum grip, maximum support and maximum protection, which my 3-year-old 510 Impact Pro has in bucket loads. But it's absolutely, comically, demolished in sales volume by the other 510 models. Eh? What are you all doing? To understand how everyone's needs may differ, we've got to look at the differences. With support from 510 in today's video, I thought I would look a little closer at the topic. Let's start with grip. It's the first thing any sane person thinks about when looking at a flat pedal shoe, right? Right? We're not picking our performance gear based purely on looks, are we? We are. Well, that's disappointing. Well, grip is important to me, so I'll resolutely resume the course. So, how do shoes grip on pedals then? Well, quality flat pedals traditionally have a selection of small grub screws or pins that grip onto shoe soles through a combination of friction and mechanical grip. Before 510 burst onto the scene, the grippiest shoes had treads with indents and grooves with ridges in between that the pins could sit in and locate themselves. As long as downward pressure was still being applied, the pedal pins would stay located in the indent, which stopped the shoe from sliding forwards, backwards and side to side. Unfortunately, anyone that's ridden a mountain bike will know it's flipping hard to maintain constant downward pressure through the pedals in rough terrain. This meant that these shoes that relied mainly on mechanical grip provided by the shape of the treads would struggle to hold a shoe in place, and riders would find their feet bouncing forwards and end up with the heels on the pedals, which is actually a cardinal sin. Oh no, don't smite me! 510 were the first to introduce their stealth, super soft, slow rebound rubber that could generate much more grip through the material's friction as well as mechanical grip. Due to the rubber's higher levels of deformation, the pins would effectively sink into the rubber and create a little indent it would locate in. And the way the rubber molded around the pedals and the pins, it created more contact area, and it would feel like the shoes were stuck to the pedal. With some pedal combinations, they would actually stick a little bit like that. This greatly reduced the chances of the shoe moving on the pedal when the going got rough. But it also meant that if a rider placed their foot in the wrong position, it was actually really hard to move into the correct position. And instead of just unweighting and then sliding the foot where it needed to be, riders would actually have to lift the foot off the pedal, reposition, and then place it back on the pedal. And this requirement for precision was the extra trade-off for the security. The Stealth S1 rubber compound is the original rubber that was released on the original Impact shoe back in 2002, and it's the very same rubber that is still used on the Impact Pro. 510 have experimented with softer and harder compounds, but they always came back to the S1 for its blend of grip, cushioning and durability. There are some situations though where maximum grip can be a hindrance or just not required. Riding bikes on pump tracks, dirt jumps, mellow trails, around town, you just don't need the grip. And the requirement for precise placement could be annoying. And this is where we get to our first difference in the current range. Thank you for indulging me. So 510 developed a firmer rubber called Marathon, and it's more durable and less grippy than the soft S1 to go on shoes for these less intense and more casual purposes. A flexible, casual, skate-style shoe, for instance, can use this harder rubber, which works when biking or just as an everyday shoe. For dirt jumpers that like to move and slide their foot around on the pedal, it's an ideal option. The increased durability is also a pro for everyday wearing, which would wear through the high-tech super soft sole quicker than you'd like. So I get that a more durable option in that casual style makes sense for those situations. But there are still so many situations where you need some elite level friction for the mission. And I can't help but notice there's more shoes on the table. So this is it. This is the reason people aren't buying this super grippy one. There must be a nice, happy, middle of the road, best of both worlds option that fits neatly between the super soft and the more durable option. Yeah? Yeah? No. These shoes use Phantom rubber. What the hell is Phantom? Well, it has a softness rating only 1 step firmer than the Super Soft, which isn't a big difference, honestly. If I was going to rank them for grip, it would be Marathon, kind of round about here, S1 way up, about here, and then Phantom, probably round about there. So it's not really a grip thing, except for the really fussy aficionados out here. So why was the Phantom rubber developed? Well, it was designed to be a non-marking version of S1. Super soft rubber can leave black marks on floors around the world, so the chemical engineers deleted that feature and Phantom was born. Makes sense now. Being able to color the rubber was an added benefit for those that like that kind of thing. Not me though. I like my soles like I like my heart. Black as the night. So are some flat pedal riders not opting for the most grip available because they all got their ears clipped by whoever cleans the floors in their house? Possibly, but I think there's more to it than that. So I'll allow myself to deviate from friction and rubber compounds and take a tiny sidestep into tread patterns. Let's look at the myriad of differences between them. Circular dots, 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 and dots. So no, not that. Well, there's some slight variations when it comes to the size of the dots and the spacing and the depth, but I find that kind of thing makes more of a difference off the bike than on it. Actually, this trailcross is a little bit different. Like, I remember when I started riding, if you rode flats, you definitely did not care about anything other than descending. But that is changing, and this shoe, you can see the toe and heel treads have chamfered edges. And it's sharp on one side and then smooth on the other. It's like how a bike tire has a sharp braking edge for maximum grip and a chamfered edge for better rolling resistance. So when climbing on foot, you want the toe to slide if it catches the ground when moving the foot forward, and then bite into the ground or hook onto the terrain when you're pushing off that foot. You'll see the same on the heel, but reversed for descending down a slope on foot. It's a subtle difference, but it does highlight that it's designed for traversing the ground on a bike and on foot. And that's the shoe that you want for adventuring then. Occasional hike a bike, maybe just like pushing up and sectioning a sick turn like I did as a kid. I'm doing that again. Let's go. I get it. And you know what? The upper is pretty lightweight too. It would be really breathable in the summer or a hot climate. Not as much protection though. And you know what, that is another difference. See, the skate style shoe is minimal, thin, no toe protection. The original classic Freerider has a bit more material, but it's still soft and flexible. The trail shoe has a little bit more meat and rigidity up front for the tootsies. The Freerider Pro steps up again with a pretty comprehensive toe box to resist any hits. And then the true gravity shoes are designed for kicking rocks, which I do on a regular basis. It's the classic trade-off between lightweight, maneuverable, or built to survive being run over by a dump truck. And weight does vary all the way from 310 grams with this lighter shoe, all the way up to 510 grams for the more aggressive one. Lighter shoes do have less inertia, they're easier to hold a high cadence, they're less fatiguing to swing around. Less support and protection though. It's a hard decision, and I can see how each one suits different situations. I did just mention support there. Well, here's a big one. Shoe stiffness. The thinner and more flexible the midsole, the more you can feel the pedals underneath you. You really get feedback from the bike and you know exactly where your feet are positioned on the pedal. However, a flexible shoe can be really fatiguing as your foot has to do way more work to resist those forces passing up through the bike. You can see that as the intended activity gets more demanding with bigger hits, higher forces, more risk, the midsole gets more and more protective. For instance, in 510's range, I would use the following as a few examples. So casual biking, dirt jumping, pump track, flexible sleuth. Trail riding, enduro, padded but flexible Freerider. Trail riding, adventures, supportive but flexible Trailcross LT. Enduro, dabbling in downhill, stiff and strong Freerider Pro. Gnarly enduro, downhill savagery, or just maximum protection and grip, super stiff Impact Pro. This to me is the most important yet hidden differentiator between the shoes, and that makes the biggest difference to how shoes feel in your specific use case. As to why everyone doesn't buy the grippiest and safest Impact Pro, well, price is always a factor, and it's undeniable that the best-selling original Freerider blends comfort, style, and performance into a real bang-for-the-buck champ. All I'm saying is don't sleep on the other models. specifically the big dogs. But I am just a biased downhiller with an unhealthy obsession with Sam Hill, so maybe don't listen to me. Oh, we didn't even talk about the waterproof ones, but we're out of time. Next time. Good in Scotland.